Raptors Geek Boner! Holy moly! At least a semi. What is your Raptors love connection, guys? I want to know in the comments, how much do you love this trade? Like, I don't care if I'm being a little bit rude. This gets me excited as a Raptors geek. This Woj tweet coming in. It's 1:37 as I record my third video of my episode series. This is going to be an interlude. This, holy moly, we are going to explore this right now. So what, I'm going to show you some things that happened for the Spurs this year that maybe made the price tag for Yak come down to really a first and 2 seconds. What? Blow my mind. And we have officially, as I said in episode 2, we have officially chosen to also enter a luxury tax era. And now there's more math to do because there's bird rights on Yak, Gary, and Fred. So can we keep all three of them? Like, can we go into the luxury tax so much this year in the off season, giving them all raises and still potentially keep OG and Pascal and all this stuff? We had bird rights on all these guys. I don't know how the math works there. Please, someone go find out. Here are some of the numbers you're gonna need to do better homework than I'm gonna do. The genius of this trade extends off of the hard court. We start with our cap space under the luxury tax, and then we add Khem's salary to that, giving us our budget for the Jacob trade. Jacob comes in at 9 mil, leaving us 1.737633 under the luxury tax threshold to finish the season. We could do something else, and we're going to talk about that in the next video. For now, let's take a look at this from just a cultural standpoint, on the court, all that stuff. It's all good. I'm not even going to go into it. Yak is perfect. Everything that you got excited about with Koloko on the court this year, get excited. Hey, wasn't it great to have a lob threat occasionally? Hey, wasn't it great to have a shot blocker? Hey, a big body under the basket, or a guy that can eat minutes against a bigger body from the other team. A guy that can run the court. A guy that already excels on rebounding at both ends of the court. A guy who can score and pass out of the post. He's a willing passer. And creative as hell. A guy who has spiritual and family ties to men on this team now, who now wear rings. You can bet your ass Yak is coming in here looking to win a fucking Larry. This is going to be amazing. And because it's under the luxury tax threshold, what we do with the other contracts that we need to look at can be deferred until the summertime in all cases. This sets us up really, really nicely if we don't think the pieces are the right pieces in total, to combine different contracts and get a piece that is. And it might cost us something. And it, like, I always think of, for me, it's JV. I fucking love JV. I know everyone, like, I was torn about DeMar too. I was torn about fucking Yak. Woo! Okay, let's talk about this from the Spurs perspective. Okay, so some names jump out right away in terms of players that made this trade possible from a San Antonio Spurs perspective, because they took a return on Yak that I thought was under what we would have to give them, or someone else would give them, for Jakob's services. Let's take a look at these names. One that jumps off the list is this year's draft pick, Jeremy Sohan. He's been electrifying this year, and he is, such a good prospect. The other one is further down this list, and you'll find it right at the bottom there, Charles Bassey. He's another young, modern big, and he's reported to be in Coach Popovich's really good books in terms of his engine and his effort and coachability. So a good young prospect there as well that plays that same position in a modern way, and younger. So Yak at this point is taking up a roster space from potentially other guys. Let me suggest to you who one of those other guys might be. So my kids and I had a great time the other night, and we all became Guinness record holders.
The capes are meant to spark conversation about childhood disability and inclusion.
It makes me feel so happy that they're all just doing this to help us. It makes a lot of kids in the hospital help, and it makes them feel more motivated too.
Siakam's foundation announced on Monday night that they will be matching up to $100,000 for any donation made to his personal Capes for Kids fundraising team from February 6th to March 10th.
Yes, he will top it up. He will double it. So let's get on to Capes for Kids and make sure we give at least $100,000 as a community so that he can double it and we can take advantage of his rich generosity. He's a great guy and a class act. Not only did we become record holders, but we also got treated to a special thing. So sometimes a visiting player comes in and really wows you. And this player, who I heard Alexi Otts talking about, Raptor Freak, and he pointed out this same player. It was a real treat to watch him play, and I'm fairly certain that the Spurs who drafted him probably in some way still have his rights. And a quick Google search will return you Luka Samic, I think is how he says his name. He was raining threes. He was impossible to deal with in the post. He's a willing passer. This is a young man that has a future, at least trying to make NBA rosters in the next couple years for sure. Good prospect. Now, if you're a good Canadian, you'll notice the omission on this list of a very good young Canadian prospect that was in the Spurs pipeline from the draft a few years ago. They drafted him higher than he was anticipated to go because they really liked the look at him, and that's Josh Primo. So young Canadian, and he's no longer on here because of some allegations between him and a former employee of the team. So I think that's what made a prospect in the next 2 years really attractive to the Spurs as some sort of return for Jacob that lined up the ages of players that are going to be coming into that pipeline. Because some of the big name teams Jacob probably got talked about with don't have the same pick structure that we do. They've basically broken the step-in rule. Maybe we'll talk about that in another video, but the Raptors are in great shape for picks. They get their pick this year, and presumably, since we're improving our roster, in my opinion, the pick that they get in 2024 will be a worse pick than it will be this year. So that's good news for the Raptors as well. The last factor here is the Khem Birch contract. If you're wondering why the Spurs would take a contract like Khem's, they could do what we did with the contract with Drew Eubanks last year that we got alongside Thad and simply get rid of it. But I'm sure smarter people than me can tell you 50 different ways to use a $6.6 million contract over 2 years if you are a rebuilding team. Maybe I'll look into that for you. And the Spurs already have other contracts on there, like notable ones for me come to mind. Maybe they have more potential, but Zach Collins, Doug McDermott, to me, were overpaying contracts meant to just keep them at a certain cap space or below the salary cap. So the Spurs are positioning themselves to be able to start giving some raises to some of their better prospects. Thank you, Khem Birch, for everything you did. I appreciate you. Go back and look at my videos from last playoffs. I really appreciate what Khem Birch did. Thank you, Khem Birch, for what you did in Toronto. Thank you guys for all of your support. And welcome back to the Jura 6 to Jacob Poeltl. And remember, it's all about the Larrys. Okay, guys, so just to timestamp this is 5 a.m. I'm just about done my final edit here. And Trade Machine here, up to date, usually says we're still looking at Durant to the Suns in a blockbuster that could involve TJ Warren for Bridges, Crowder, Cam Johnson, 4 first-round picks, and a first-round pick swap. The 4 first-round picks, 23, 25, 27, 29, staggered in accordance with step-in rule, are all unprotected. Oh my god. That's fucking insane, dude. That is fucking insane. Bridges has been on fire. Okay, that's crazy. John Wall says out of LA no matter what. The Knicks get Josh Hart from the Blazers for Svi, Cam Reddish, a protected first-round pick to Portland, and Ryan, I can't say his name, Arcia Diacono. RC Diacono. The Lakers send Westbrook to the Jazz. This is big. So the Lakers receive D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt. Okay, that's all the Lakers. The Jazz get Westbrook, Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, and the Lakers' 2027 first rounder, top forward protected. The T-Wolves receive Mike Conley, some veteran coming in, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and 3 second rounders. This is blockbuster. And then the Jacob one, they're saying still expected on here, so it's not firmed up on this website. God help us if Yak doesn't come after this video. That's good enough for today, guys. Chef's kiss.
Jacob Poeltl's name is swirling around the NBA. Boston, Washington, even back here in Toronto.
This is Chef's Kiss approved. Mwah! Yeah, I feel pretty good.